I fell in love with a girl who introduced me to heroin. You know, love drives everybody blind. So I was blind, I got into heroin. I didn't even know what I was taking.
There's this guy, the late Mustafa. Is the one who introduced
There's
me.
this guy called Mustafa. The late Mustafa was my boyfriend. He used to lace my cigarettes with heroin so that he can lure me into his trap. I was young, then and still in school.
Kuniingiza kwenye mambo ya kunidanganya niweze kujua kukubali mambo yake maana nilikuwa bado msichana.
After 1 week, I asked them what they had added into my cigarettes. They started laughing, but one of them was good enough to tell me that my sister-in-law had instructed them to lace my cigarettes with heroin. She did this because I had sworn I would never do drugs like her.
This is the face of drug abuse. Thousands of Kenyans have been tricked into using drugs by people they have trusted the most, their relatives and friends. The detrimental effect of abuse are written all over their bodies. It can take just minutes to become addicted to the substance, but decades to break free from the bondage of drug abuse. Well, behind me is Mathare slums. To many drug users and peddlers, it is codenamed Nigeria. The reason why it's called Nigeria, I have no clue. What I know for a fact is that 18,000 Kenyans hooked on drugs are in real struggle to come out of the mess that emanates from these slums.
Katika hali ya kuwa solasol, mimi nilipoingilia staff
I was still looking for employment when I started doing drugs. Soon I reached a point of no return. I was already hooked to heroin. Withdrawal symptoms made it difficult for me to stop doing drugs.
Kila nilipojaribu kuacha ilikuwa inanishinda.
I've been taking heroin for the last 29 to 30 years. Half of my life has just gone down the drain because of heroin.
Have
never been jailed for stealing to fend for my family. I was jailed for stealing to get money to buy drugs. My 2 children and the one I got while I was in jail lacked parental love. I was busy stealing to satisfy my addiction to heroin.
The government estimates that 18,000 Kenyans are addicted to injectable drugs in the country. However, the National Agency of Campaign Against Drugs, NACADA, chairperson John Mutudo says this number could be higher.
What there is that Kenyans like to be seen to be the father of the good kids, a responsible father. But if you are going to do a test, and the equipment available, which my people may have refused to buy, but will eventually find their way here, these are breathalyzers which detect about 16 types of drugs. You'll be surprised. If you are going to check the veins and see the perforation, and I would wish you check on mine because I'm not in that category. Yeah, you would be surprised at the level of drug abuse. I have no words.
This argument is based on shocking findings by the agency that at least 70% of snacks sampled by the organization had traces of one drug or another.
I think the most shocking result is one that Kenyans decided to ignore or not to follow. We sampled all shisha being smoked in Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, and all over the country. And they proved that over 70% of shisha being smoked here had a small quantity of heroin in one way or another. So we take shisha to be a slow introduction to heroin amongst the elite youth and individuals. So once you start inhaling in small doses, like sooner or later you are going to get hooked.
Many fear the drug dealers are peddling contraband items inside schools, and school-going children are being lured into taking drugs. Recently, school-going children were caught on camera taking drugs and openly engaging in sex on a bus were arrested. The case is before the courts.
It's a very bad situation because we are now at the incubatory stage. This is the first time I'm talking about this, but these drug traffickers and pushers have been working underground, and they have successfully been able to push drugs up to secondary schools to an extent that between the ages of about 10, 11, all the way to 35, and particularly those in college, we feel over 50% have been exposed to one form of drugs or another. You have some hard drugs like heroin, cocaine, being presented in some of the most weird ways. Like last year we reported some of it was being presented in tampons. These are the ones used by small girls, the tampons.
President Uhuru Kenyatta is now calling for concerted efforts to root out the menace.
Tulianza vita kali ya kupambana na pombe, na nina furaha ya kwamba katika sehemu nyingi tumeanza kuona vijana wetu sasa wakiwa wamerudi kuwa watu ambao wanaweza kufanya kazi. Nataka hiyo vita.
Recently we declared war on alcoholism, and I'm happy because in many areas we are witnessing youths who had wasted away their lives because of alcoholism now engaging in meaningful activities. I want the same vigor meted on drug abuse.
Na hiyo hatutajali. You know that property of yours will be destroyed. Wale wanaleta na meli ikishikwa, sio tu hiyo madawa ambaye itakuwa destroyed, lakini hata meli yako hiyo pia itazama.
The Nakada boss, however, feels reactionary tactics will not work. Is there supposed to be a paradigm shift in the way we actually handle drug issues in the country to ensure that indeed we nip it in the bud at the inception level rather than at the end point of it?
In dealing with, you are right, in dealing with the drugs we need to look through two forums, two levels. One is supply suppression. So what we are supplying methadone, or heroin, cocaine, you are doing bangi, whatever it is, that the government can be able to do. It can control our borders, it can control the outlets, the bulk handling and the rest of it. So if the UN have money to spend, let them strengthen anti-narcotics unit. Since now it looks like it's a taboo to start an enforcement wing within Nakada, let's use the existing forces like anti-narcotics who are understaffed. And then we have them have a capacity, including having choppers and other things, little capability, not just hanging on somebody's wing, to go and control the entry of all these substances. And I want also people to start looking again. How do these drugs get into Kenya? How do they get to Kenya in bulk? One of my highest suspicions as John Mutudo, I don't have facts, one of the highest suspicion of where these drugs are passing through are through commodities. Name it, sugar, rice, and other things.
Mtudo also wants the authorities to tighten the country's entry point, especially at the coast, to ensure minimum entry of drugs. He could be right. Kenya is increasingly becoming a conduit for drugs across the globe. In 2004, a report released by the U.S. Foreign Agency Service Central Investigation Agency, CIA, revealed Kenya was one of the countries in East Africa used to transport South Asian heroin destined for Europe and North America. The report also named Kenya as a strategic transit point of hard drugs from India to South Africa. In a bid to tackle the problem, the World Bank has launched a medically assisted treatment program to rehabilitate at least 9,000 addicts in the next 5 years.
MAT is a treatment strategy that targets people who use drugs, specifically those people who are using heroin, and it comprises several interventions, one of them being a treatment with a medication called methadone, and the other interventions include HIV testing and counseling, as well as treatment, TB treatment and testing.
It is a project that is going to see us reduce new HIV infections in Kenya. It is a project that is going to see us reduce the suffering of the people who inject drugs every day. It is a project that is going to see us also improve the quality of lives of these people, reintegrate them back to the society, have them have a quality life, and even in terms of getting back to their jobs, because what we have seen is that methadone really makes people normal again and they're able to go back to their jobs.
Already, 500 addicts have been enrolled in the program.
Oh, Mataraya, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This thing has given me my life back. Good for me, water is a bit bitter. Just given. Oh, thank you so much, madam. You're very kind.
The methadone stays in the blood system for 24 to 36 hours, and therefore this person who is addicted to heroin, once they take methadone, it stops all the craving for heroin, it stops the injection of heroin, it stops those risky behaviors like injecting and sharing needles with others, and they only need to take it once a day, and hence they are comfortable to go about their job, to go about their social activities uninterrupted during the day.
Now, when they take methadone every day at Madare in the morning, they don't crave again for that heroin. So they take methadone every day at Madare. Early in the morning, they go to Madare Hospital. The clinic closes at 1 o'clock. They go to Madare Hospital. Here, Madare Hospital, they take their methadone and then they can go do other things. So you realize that they don't have to look for money. Like the way they look for money to buy heroin, methadone is all free. So they just need to take methadone, but we continue with the other interventions. The other intervention, they have to access them so that treatment is complete, so that HIV, so that we meet the goal of HIV prevention among them.
When I take it, I can go and work normally. I don't have an urge for heroin until the next 24, 48 hours. I don't have the urge. That's the goodness about methadone.
Because I'm on methadone, I took it in the morning. I have not experienced the urge to do heroin. I'm feeling very okay. Can you see me okay? I have taken methadone, I feel better.
Support for Addiction Prevention and Treatment in Africa, or SAPTA, is one of the drop-in centers for the rehabilitation of drug addicts.
It's been a big challenge. It's taken half of my life. I lost relationships, a lot of things I lost in my life. I lost a lot. Even when my parents died, I wasn't there to bury them because I was busy looking for money to go and take heroin. It took away everything from me.
Mimi niko na dreams, at least hata nikapata tu kazi tu naweza sikia poa.
I had dreams. If I was to be employed, I will be fine. The biggest problem is where to get the employment. Employers don't trust us because they look at us as junkies. No one trusts drug addicts. They fear us.
Hatuaminiki bana. Mtu anakugwaya na anaogopa, yani ana ile uogofu.
Ilipofika wakati pesa imekuwa ni shida kupata.
After my boyfriend Mustafa was released, security was very tight. All his friends had died, and the remaining one was crippled after he was shot by policemen. My boyfriend now opted to mug people in the estate. I had to join him and assist him in emptying the pockets of his victims. We were afraid of withdrawal symptoms. Now I had become a bad person.
Drugs. Na tunaogopa withdrawals, maana withdrawals ni painful. So ikabidi maisha lazima tuungane sote. Unaona sasa hapo nikakuwa tena nimekuwa mtoto mbaya, mama mbaya.
My husband was a pickpocket. He would steal then buy me drugs. We could do drugs worth 5,000 shillings each day. Soon it dawned on me he was messing up my life, so I cut short our relationship. But since I was already hooked to heroin, I had to find ways to satisfy my cravings and avoid withdrawal symptoms. Since I didn't have money, I opted to sell my body. I was shaming myself and my family.
At the organization offices in Mathare, those recovering say the process can be compared to slowly crawling from the jaws of addiction. The journey towards recovery from drug addiction is one that is laced with many pitfalls, and any slight misstep or wrong direction is likely to have drastic effects.
Nimelala maeneo miaka tatu nikakuja nikaona hapana.
I have slept in drug dens for 3 years. I realized I was stressing my children and family for no reason at all. Then I saw a story on TV about a center in Mombasa that was rehabilitating drug addicts. Since I had a friend in Mombasa, I opted to go there and seek medication. When she saw me, she started crying. She gave me food, which I vomited. She told me to my face I was doing drugs. All I could say is that I had come for help. She took me to a rehabilitation center, but unfortunately, they were not admitting women. So I had to detox from her place. After detoxing, I went to another center in Malindi, Musaba. After 2 years, I had fully recovered and stopped doing drugs. But when I went back to Nairobi, my boyfriend took me to the drug dens.
Nikakaa Malindi for 2 months. Nikakuja nikakuwa mzuri, nikaacha dawa. huyu boyfriend yangu tena akanirudisha tena maeneo.
One of the things that we are doing with the drug, the recovering addicts and the MAT clients that we have right now, we are telling them to avoid the drug dens. And if they're able to avoid that, this is the only place you can find these people. And some of them have even taken options in their own innovative way. They don't actually use the same routes where they would find their old dens. So we are working with them and also empowering them to know that it is their life. And once they start taking methadone, the quality of their life will be improved. Once they see the value from a personal view, then some of these things will be very, very important in their lives.
The biggest challenge for the government is to ensure recovering addicts stay away from drugs completely. In the meantime, those on recovery path can see light at the end of the tunnel.
I can give another good news. Next month, after 2 months, I'm getting married. Now at least I see what a woman is, man. Before I didn't know who a woman is. I wouldn't know, if I would come across a woman, I wouldn't. Now I look at a pretty girl like that one, I feel like that's a woman now, man. I have the urge. It's taken everything away, my emotions, my feelings, took away everything from me. Now I go to my mother's grave, and when I look at my mother's grave, I ask for forgiveness, but she doesn't talk. But I know she's there looking at me. She's asking me, don't marry my son, you are there, I'm happy. She's happy for me.
Wote niliwakosea pale. Wajue wengi niliwakosea kwa sababu ya influence ya drugs.
The people that I wronged while doing drugs, I'm sorry. Whoever wants a person to employ, let them contact me. I want to mend my relationship with them.
Wanaweza wakanipatia hata kazi. Tukarudisha ile uhusiano uliokuwa pale mwanzo.
Kitu sasa imebaki ni kazi. Hii kazi ndio tunataka.
All that's remaining is employment. If I can get a job to enable me take care of myself and my family, I will be very happy. But getting the job is the greatest challenge.
Hii kazi bana, mzee bana.
Unajua tukika idlers tutarudia staff. Na staff ukweli haitaki.
When we stay idle, we are likely to be tempted back into doing drugs. Drugs are so tempting for idlers. I used to do my own business and fend for myself and my family. Now all that is lost. My family and friends can't trust me with money because they don't trust that I have stopped doing drugs. We asked the government to give us something to do. Honestly, if I was employed, I would not even associate myself with addicts. But today, given my situation, even as I camped at the dropping center, that is still my company. When I go back home, they're still my company. We can easily be lured back into drugs. We need jobs.
Unashetana anaweza tudanganya tena twende. Juu kuna wenzetu wengine wajaanza bado.
What else? These are sober people. They become sober clean like me and you. So what else? Programs like this one cannot accommodate these huge numbers. So we are really appealing to the government to support us in creating opportunities, economic empowerment opportunities for this youth. They are youth who have been drug use. We don't want them to go back to drug use, and that is why now the government brought in methadone. So we are really appealing. We are appealing to the government to help us, to support us in providing opportunities, economic empowerment for opportunities for these youth so that they don't go to back to drug use.